Hi everyone, today I'm going to be going over tips and tricks for the ATI's TEAS7 exam with you guys. This is part 2. I made a part 1 a few months ago. Honestly, I just made that video, posted it, didn't think much of it. I didn't really put too much thought into it. I just was kind of like, hey, let me make it, throw it out there. But today I want to go over a few more topics that have either come up in my comments or that I've talked to some of you guys. I've been in contact with a few of you guys through DMs, and we've been going back and forth, and I've been trying to guide you guys through this exam. And there's been certain things that have been brought up, and I just wanted to make this video to like continue to give you guys tips and tricks that I maybe forgot to mention or didn't mention, and I wanted to elaborate more on certain topics for you guys. So one of the comments I had received in my comment section on one of the videos was that I mentioned how I studied for about 5 months, or yeah, I think it was like 4 to 5 months. And somebody commented saying that like, oh, you should mention that they should take it in the summer, blah, blah, blah. I did forget to mention, I took my exam, the first time I took my exam, I took it summer of 23? Summer of 22. So I took it in August. That's kind of summer. So I had June, July, and a little bit of August to study non-stop because I took it during the summer. So I wasn't working and I wasn't doing school. So I would suggest that if you can do that and if you have time, that you should maybe do that. That way you don't have the stress of like either school or work, and you have more time to study and really understand that material. So that is a tip for you guys. Take it in the summer if you can. Another thing that was kind of commented was somebody said that, oh, you can definitely still get an A if you only study for a month. I never said you couldn't get an A if you didn't study for more than 3 months. You definitely can score an A if you only study for 1 month. I don't want to tell you guys that you can't do it. You can do whatever you want. But I was just telling you guys my experience that I put in 4 to 5 months of studying, because I don't want you guys to watch these videos, take the notes, and then not score the score that you wanted, and like then compare it to me being like, how does she score 94.7? Well, it's because I put in 5 months of studying, you know? And that was what I needed for myself. You need to really understand yourself. You need to be able to understand how much time you need to put into your studies. You might not need 4 to 5 months. Do I think you guys can score 95 and get an A on this exam with just 1 month? I think it's possible. I think it's something that if you are naturally smart, but if you are able to understand material without having to put in that much time and effort into it, I definitely think that you can get through this exam with just 1 month of studying. But it's not realistic for everyone, so that's why I didn't say that. There's videos out there saying like you can get an A in like 2 weeks and blah blah blah. It's not realistic. People have kids, people have work, people have school, people have all these other things in their lives that they need to attend to. That is why I'm saying, like, if you can, please extend your period of studying. That way you can really understand the material. Another comment that I received was somebody saying like, oh, so you basically just have to know everything. And I thought that was funny because essentially yes and no. Essentially you do need to just kind of be able to know everything, because for an exam like the ATI's exam, they are able to use any material within microbiology, any material within chemistry, any material within the English language, any material within the reading comprehension. They are able to use any of those concepts and ask you a question. So essentially you do have to know everything, because it's fair game. Anything is fair game for them, and they're not going to be sitting there and asking you like super easy questions. They're not going to do that. So you really do need to understand the majority. Just try to know as much as you could possibly know, so that you're prepared to answer any kind of question. Because again, they're not going to give you straightforward questions. If it was just so straightforward and easy, then everyone would be scoring like 100%, right? So essentially you do have to know everything, in a sense. You have to just know as much material as you can possibly get in your brain before you take the exam. That way that you're able to answer any question that's thrown at you. You'll be able to answer it. I had somebody on Facebook say that they got a question about a hurricane. What do we know about earthquakes and hurricanes? Excuse me? Everything is fair game. So you do have to know a little bit of everything. I am sorry. I know that sucks. Somebody asked me if I got the same questions twice. Okay, let me preface this again with talking about like, oh, you need like 4 to 5 months of studying. Okay, so when I was studying for the exam, I was looking through all these YouTube videos, and I did find a lot of YouTubers, and I did find a lot of videos to help aid in my studies. But at the same time, when I started studying, it was the first time the ATIs, the version 7 was going to come out. So I was in that first like generation of version 7, and now most schools and most admissions only take version 7. So keep in mind, all those videos, you can use other people's videos, but that's for version 6. Like, they took version 6, right? That is why I decided to make these videos, because I took version 7 and I studied for version 7. I took version 7, so I kind of know a little bit of how version 7 is structured. But if you use like older videos, most of those people are talking about version 6. Things have changed. The ATI website has changed the exam, has either added more questions in the science, or gotten rid of some in the English, or it's changed like a little bit. But what I'm saying is that when I'm telling you how I studied and blah blah blah, I'm giving you guys information on version 7. If you watch old people's videos, they are helpful, watch them, but keep in mind that they're talking about version 6. Version 7 is a little bit different, so keep that in mind when you go in and watching these videos, or you're watching my videos, and you're whatever conceptions you have, preconceived thoughts you have on it. Just remember that I took version 7 and most of those people took version 6, but still watch them because they're so helpful. But just keep that in mind when you're studying. Okay, so again, someone said if I got the same questions twice on both exams. I did not receive the same questions twice on the exam, but what I will say is I got multiple similar topics on like the second time I took the exam. So first time I took the exam was in August of 2022, and then I took the exam again in December of 2022. So I'm fresh off this. That's why I'm making these videos, and I take my advice, please, or you don't have to, just watch it, take it. I just took these exams, so all this information is kind of fresh in my head. So I've been DMing back and forth with some of you guys, and some of you guys have mentioned certain websites, like, oh, do you know about this website, or did you use this website? I'm gonna be 100% honest, I didn't use any of those websites trying to sell you guys courses and trying to sell you guys exams. I'm not here bashing them, I'm not here saying that they don't work, but honestly, when I was studying for it, those courses were like expensive, like in the hundreds, 200s. There's this TikTok girl that posts questions of the ATIs. I watched those videos and I would answer those questions, but her course is like $300 or something ridiculous like that. I'm not saying none of those are helpful, but I'm here telling you guys that for somebody who doesn't want to spend that much money, like, I want you guys to allocate your money in a smart way. I want you to spend your money smartly. I want you to spend your money on things that like you could really use. Not saying that those are not helpful, but I'm saying that not everyone can afford that. Not everyone can afford to spend that much money. I did invest money in my studies. I do want to say that I want to say I invested like $200 in my studies, buying notes, buying practice exams, buying study manuals, buying books, buying XYZ. I did invest money, so I do think that you should invest some money into your studies. How much you want to do is up to you. Do I think you can absolutely study without having to spend any money? I think so, but it is a little harder because these people selling certain stuff for certain exams, it just gives you a guide. It gives you guidance to what you should study, topics you should emphasize, because this exam is broad. Like I said, you kind of need to know everything. So you should invest some, however much you want, that's up to you. But you kind of do need a little bit of guidance onto what you should study, because it's a big exam. That is why I felt like I needed to invest money, because it's overwhelming to have that much information. And when you're studying, you're like, this is so much. Like, I don't even know what's on the exam. I don't know what's what. Like, where do I start? So I would suggest spending some money wherever you, however much you want to spend, however much you can spend. I think you should either buy someone's notes or I would really suggest buying the practice exams from the ATI website. They're literally like $70, but if you're gonna sit there and spend money on like $100 course or $200 course, honestly, please like buy the Metrics book on Amazon. It's probably like $30, and then spend that money and buy those practice exams. You don't have to buy the course. You can still study and buy those exams, and it'll help you. Not saying that you shouldn't use those courses. If you can afford it, go for it. It could only help you, okay? But for those that don't know what to spend their money on, like, just think about it wisely, think about it smart. Also, I was talking to somebody about the ATI study manual, and they thought I was talking about the Yellow Metrics book. That's not what I was talking about. So I do have the Yellow Metrics book, but I also bought the ATI study manual from the website that gives us the TEAS exam. It looks like this. I realize that some of you guys might not know what it looks like. That's what it looks like, okay? This one I bought, and I think it was like $30 or something. I would suggest, if you can spend the money on this one, buy this one too, and the Yellow Metrics book, because this one is given from the website that gives us the exam. Here is a manual of them telling you this information you should know. So please do yourself a favor. If you can spend the money on it, buy it, read through it, so that way you know what information the website that gives you the exam is telling you what you should know, okay? So just wanted to preface that, because there are certain websites and people and trying to sell you stuff, and it's overwhelming when you're like, shoot, like, I didn't know. First of all, you have to pay for this exam. Why do we have to pay for this exam? I have no idea. And then on top of that, you have to pay to like access certain study materials. It's overwhelming. So again, be smart with your money. Don't buy everything. You don't need to buy a $200 course. Do I think that $200 course can help you? Of course, but do I think it's absolutely necessary? No, you can spend your money elsewhere. Also, again, try your best to find any free resources. There are certain apps that people sell, or like on the App Store, that you can use, and you can access certain amount of questions for free a day. If you can access anything for free, do it, because it's expensive. It adds up. The exam itself is like $120 or something, and then buying study material, it adds up real quick. So another thing, for the math, when you're studying for math, I need you to understand that math is all about repetition. You need to do practice questions. Just keep doing practice questions. If it's one topic, do 10 to 20 practice questions. It's all about repetition. You need to keep practicing the questions over and over and over until you fully understand that material. That is how you'll do well on the math. Repetition. Practice, 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 practice. Because if your little numbers are off just by one digit, you'll get the question wrong. Also, on the exam, they have a calculator. Use that calculator for everything. Even if it's 2 times 2, plug it into the calculator. We don't want any mistakes here. You'll have time. Just do it. Another thing, I need you guys to remember that this exam is timed. This exam is timed. Every section is timed. So when you guys are studying or taking practice tests, you need to time yourself to the time that the website, if you look up TEAS7 time test, it'll tell you how much each section is timed for. You need to start practicing answering those questions on that timed limit, because when you get to the exam, you might forget that it's timed, and you might run out of time and not be able to answer all the questions. So if you can practice timing yourself while you're answering questions, it'll help you learn how to like manage your time wisely when you're taking this exam. So somebody asked me what I meant by studying 6 to 12 hours a day. Again, this comes back to how much time you personally need to study. So I told you guys I took this exam this summer, so I had months of studying. I would literally sit down in my room and study either 12 hours, sometimes straight, or 6 hours straight, anywhere between 6 to 12 hours. I would never do any less than that, because that's what I felt like I personally needed. if you don't have the time, you can stagger that. You can do like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the like lunchtime, 2 p.m., and then 2 hours at night. You don't have to do it straight. I'm just a little bit of a psychopath, and I did mine straight. My mother would bring me food because I would not leave my room, and I would just sit down and study straight, because again, that's what I felt like I personally needed, and I had a certain goal that I wanted to reach in my mind score wise, and I knew myself down to how much I personally need to study and how much time and effort I need to put in to understand material. That is why I chose that time range and that many month period, because I fully understand the time that I need to study material. Okay, so it really depends on you. If you only have 2 hours a day, then do 2 hours a day. I was just a psychopath. I wouldn't step foot outside. I wouldn't go out. Like, I really put the time in. I was saying no to certain plans so that I could study, but you know what, it paid off for me. So that is up to you. Somebody mentioned, how do you stop yourself from forgetting information from when you go to study English to math? The best thing that I could suggest to you so that you don't forget the information that you just studied is to practice it either on a Quizlet or a review sheet every night. So say you're studying math and you previously finished the English. At the end of the night, when you're done with the math, spend about 20-30 minutes going over the previous section so that you don't forget all the material that you just learned. If you could do that daily for every subject or a few times a week while you're studying a different subject, that's going to help you guys so that you don't forget the previous information that you just learned. Somebody asked me if I took practice tests in between each section or if I waited to study every section to do the practice test. So in the Memometrics book, when I finished an English section, I would go and take the test on inside those books on just the English section and see if I understood the material. If I wasn't scoring well, then I would go back and study that section in order to score better on because it gives you multiple tests. So then I would take a test again and I'm like, did I understand it the second time? No? Okay, let's go back to the English and keep studying. That's what I did. And then once I would finish a section, take practice tests, finish a section, take practice tests. At the end, when I got through all of the sections, I bought like I said, the TEAS7 practice test A and B, and then I took that test on all of the sections once I got through all of the sections and took practice tests in between those sections, if that makes sense. Okay, last topic I want to go over with you guys is that you need to trust yourself. At some point, you just need to trust that you've done the studying, you've put in the time, you've put in the effort. Just take the exam, because I don't want to tell you guys how many times I pushed back the exam. That's also why I ended up doing like 4 or 5 months. It's because I would get to the time where I'm getting ready to schedule the exam, and I would tell my sister and my mom, like, I don't feel ready, I'm not sure, I need more time, and then I would postpone it and spend more time studying. And then that time would roll around again, and then I'd be like, I'm not ready, I don't feel like I know enough, I need more time, postponed again. And then my mom told me, just take the exam, you're gonna be okay, you've studied, take the exam and see how you do. If you have to take it one more time, then you have to take it one more time. It's gonna be okay. So then I finally decided to take it. I scored in the 80s, wasn't what I was looking for. So then again, I went back and I took it again. But taking it the first time kind of gave me a good sense of like, okay, that's how it's structured. Okay, that's what the questions are looking like. Okay, that's the difficulty of this section. Maybe I need to focus on this section. You know what section I ended up having the most difficulty? The reading section. Please do not sleep on the reading section. The reading section is so hard for no reason. Like, do not sleep on this section. First time I took the exam, I was like, what is going on? Why was that so hard? First of all, you're timed on it, so you have to read the passage, answer questions, and you're timed. Oh my god. It was a lot more difficult than I expected. I read for fun, and I couldn't. Both times I took it, not my best scores, but it's cool. But taking it the first time allowed me to understand what was on it, gauge what I needed to spend more time on. Yes, I scored well on the first time, but it wasn't what I was looking for, so I decided to take it a second time. I know some of you guys don't have the time to do that or don't have the money to take it again. I understand that. That's why I'm making these videos, and hopefully you won't have to do that. You kind of just need a little bit of guidance through this because it is a huge exam, and that's why I'm making this. I'm not trying to guarantee you guys that you guys can score XYZ, but I'm trying to help you guys and guide you through it, because when I was taking this, I felt like I had no guidance, and I was really leaning on all the resources I could find online to take this exam. But again, you need to trust yourself at some point. You've done the studying, you've put in the time, you put in the effort. Just trust yourself and you'll be fine. All right, guys, this is it for today. If you guys have any more questions, please comment them, and then maybe I can do another video talking about it. But these are just some of the things that kept coming up, either in my DMs or in my comments. And hopefully this helps you guys. Good luck.